Good evening and welcome to The Square. I'd like to start by sincerely apologizing. We've been having some technical issues and that's why we started late. But nonetheless, we're here. Last show of the year. And I'd like to thank our viewers for, staying patient tonight. And as always, for tuning into The Square over the last 4 years. We're here tonight, like I said earlier on, last show of the year, to just review the year that was 2021. We're going to focus on a couple of issues, time allowing, that will dial in on regional cooperation in Rwanda, as well as governance and leadership, and just looking at trends to expect in the year 2022. I'm happy to welcome with us our guests. We have one guest who's here with us virtually and one guest who's us with in studio, and I'll start with our guest in studio. We have again on the show, I'm happy to welcome Honorable Dr. Frank Habineza, who's the president of the Democratic Green Party of Rwanda. Mr. Habineza, great to have you on the show.
Thank you very much. I'm so glad to be with you.
Great.
Right.
I hope you had a Merry Christmas.
Yes, it was wonderful. Thank you so much. Yeah.
I'd like to also go to our other guest on the show, Janine Munyeshuri, who's joining us virtually. If we could have her on our screens. She's an economist and a social political commentator. Janine, great to have you on The Square. Thank you. We'll fix your sound issue very quickly, but I'd like to suggest if you could maybe look at unmuting your microphone, but we'll come back to you, Janine. Charlie Haba, always a pleasure to have you on the show, resident panelist of The Square.
The period between Christmas and New Year is called, I easily coined the phrase, Merry New Year. So Merry New Year to
Merry New Year to you. Merry New Year to you, Charles.
Merry New Year to Daktari.
Thank you, sir.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
My name is Denan PC, host of The Square. And I just want us to check one more time if we have Janine on air. If you could have her, and hopefully the sound has been sorted out. If you could have her on the screens very quickly. Janine, are you with us? Okay, we'll be testing with her shortly. Unfortunately, there's some massive technical issues we're facing, but that will be sorted. So I'd like us to just quickly dive into the conversation, a review of 2021, starting with regional cooperation. And, we know that Rwanda has been doing a lot of regional cooperative events and projects, and it's been mobilizing its main assets, military professionalism, political stability, and the brand Rwanda narrative to benefit its foreign policy. In 2021, we saw a couple of very interesting events. We saw the troop deployments in Central African Republic and Mozambique to promote security. We saw strengthened existing bilateral ties with countries such as Tanzania, Zimbabwe, and DRC, to name a few. And we also saw the revisiting of initiated joint projects between countries. To kick off, I would like to address my first question to Honorable Dr. Habineza Frank. What key regional cooperation events stand out for you in particular in 2021, and what expectations of these events, do you have in the coming year, 2022?
Yeah, thank you very much. I would like to start with an international event, which I think was of great importance to Rwanda. That is the visit of the French president to Rwanda. President Macron came to Rwanda, and as you know, there was high expectation, especially on the French's involvement in the genocide, and after the release of the Edward report. So we were very, very pleased to see him, and then his statement at the Kigali Genocide Memorial, how they recognized the involvement, though we did not get the very big thing that we wanted, the request for forgiveness, but at least he moved a great step towards that. So I think that was a big achievement in our relationship between Rwanda and France. So that was a key milestone that we achieved, and I think from that we have seen several projects starting up,
for sure.
Even the opening up of the French Cultural Center in Rwanda, among other issues. So I would say that was the big one. And then the second biggest to me is the improvement of the relationship between Rwanda and Burundi. As you know that since 2015, we had issues with Burundi. I think we all forward to what happened after the third term elections there with President Nkurunziza, and the counter-accusations and so on. But then this year we saw renewed spirit, whereby Rwanda accepted to attend the Burundi's National Independence Day in July, where Rwanda's Prime Minister went to Burundi. That was a very big, something that happened. And then after that, we saw the governors of the southern province in Rwanda visiting, and the other side of Burundi meeting somewhere in Rwanda, and then the other side in Bugesera. So we've been seeing that these regional leaders meeting up, and also we've seen exchanges of armed labels between Burundi handed over some labels to Rwanda, and Rwanda handed over some labels to Burundi. So this was a renewed spirit. And then we saw the security chiefs meeting up on the border sides, border posts in, I think, Nemba and Bugesera. So this was a very big thing for us because Burundi, as our main neighboring country, everyone is expecting to see good relations. So that's a big thing that has happened. So I'm looking forward to a fuller resumption of our relationships and a full opening of the borders, more trade, and more good spirit between Rwanda and Burundi in 2022. And then I would say that you've mentioned about Tanzania, but also we had a tragedy when the Tanzanian president passed away, President John Magufuli. But then the new Tanzanian president, Mama Suluhu, visited Rwanda immediately after. And when she came, there was some trade agreements, bilateral agreements that were signed between Rwanda and Tanzania. And then we also saw police chiefs, the police chief of Tanzania coming to Rwanda. They signed up some agreements with the police chief of Rwanda.
Yes.
So, and this will help in combating criminals or crime and also improving our security. And then we heard that there were some also negotiations or discussions on how they can cooperate with the issues concerning Mozambique. I think that was before our deployment in Mozambique.
Yes.
So I would say that that's a very good sign for us, especially that now Tanzania is like our main route to the ocean here.
Absolutely.
So we are very glad with that. And then I would say that, of course, we saw President of Mozambique coming here, requesting for our support and Rwanda's immediate response, sending our troops to help fight those terrorists in Mozambique. So that was a very good thing, and we hope for more cooperation in that security and military cooperation with Mozambique. And hopefully that also bring in trade, because you don't stop there. We expect also to have trade relations and other diplomatic relations here. I would say, since I'm still in Southern Africa, we've seen that Rwanda and Zimbabwe recently signed up an agreement to exchange teachers. So we are seeing that starting next year in January, we're going to see some over 300 teachers are going to come from Zimbabwe to assist in our education sector. So that's a good thing. We hope for more relations with Zimbabwe, because they also had some other agreements in trade and so on. Yeah. So I would say if I go on with Central Africa Republic, we saw the president of Central Africa Republic visit here. He was more in appreciation mode of what we have helped them over there. But also there have been some agreements that have been signed to see that we can improve our relationship. And I heard that we also given some piece of land in Central Africa. And I hope that that land could be used for Rwandans to do is it agriculture or whatever, so that we can profit more on that land which we are given. Talking about land, I know that we also got land from Djibouti some time back. So I hope that that land also could be put to use so that Rwandans can benefit from those pieces of land that are given to the country. So bigger news in our region is the visits between the Congolese president, President Tshisekedi, after the aftermath of the volcanic eruptions. Yes. He came to Rwanda, and President Kagame went to Congo, and they had very good discussions, and then they signed up some agreements. And then before that, we have seen that President Tshisekedi also wrote to join the East African Community, and this is a big news that Congo is now a member of the East African Community. And you remember that President Kagame was the chairman of the East African Community. He's the one whom they addressed the request. So I think, and I'm very sure that Rwanda played a big role in the DRC's entry into the East African Community. So that's a big news for us, because to help us is our immediate neighbor in trade, movement of people, and more other things. But most important also in security and military cooperation. Then
I would like to just hold on to your thoughts. I know, because it's 2021. You know, we're trying to review 2021.
Maybe one more challenge.
Yes.
The biggest challenge we have is relations between Rwanda and Uganda.
Yes.
So we haven't seen progress on that, and that is still worrisome to us, to most of us, because we think, because those are the main neighbors we have that we do trade with, but also Uganda is a sister country that we have had relationship with for so many centuries here. So these talks, diplomatic talks, slowed down in 2021. So we expect in 2022 that they should be resumed, and that then we can have a full opening of the borders and trade, and then those security threats could be completely overcome. Yeah,
absolutely. I know a lot of people are looking to make headway, especially with Uganda.
Yeah.
Talking about regional cooperation, of course, I just wanted to add just a few cents that I personally was happy to see a lot of the private sector following through some of these talks. There have been delegations, you know, private sector members traveling to DRC, traveling to Central African Republic, you know, just to follow up on some of these good political will put forward by leaders. So it's interesting to see what trade relations will be built through Rwanda's foreign policy, or should I say regional cooperation activities. I'd like to just check in with Janine again. It would be a real pity if we can't hear from her at this point, but we'll zero in on her. Just to quickly check if her Skype is on. Okay, we'll just go straight to Charles. Charles, I'd like to hear from you. You know, highlights of 2021. It's not easy to fish them all.
It's very difficult, especially since we started 19 minutes late. But to me, highlights and are two: DRC and Uganda. DRC has been a thorn in our political, economic, social flesh for a while. It is our biggest export market.
Absolutely.
Irrespective of what we produce. Sorry, in addition to what we produce, there's also what transits through Rwanda. So it's extremely important that the DRC is very stable, and for us to have a big role to play in DRC stability is extremely important. It is in, and I'm preempting a conversation into 2022 vis-a-vis how Uganda has deployed in the DRC. So it is something that we have to be very, very careful about, because not only has Uganda deployed in the DRC, but they are planning to build a road for through DRC that will connect to Burundi. I believe that is the daydreams that they have. Now, so that's one situation that we need to watch extremely carefully, and I believe the powers that be are. But business speaks a language that politicians cannot beat. It's for obvious reasons, because of the geographical nature of the DRC, they'll forever need Rwanda, and for obvious reasons, Rwanda will forever need DRC, especially the areas around Goma, Bukavu, Beni, Butembo, those Uvira areas and what have you. So the dynamics, whatever happens in there, will remain a bit of a concern for everybody who is around the DRC.
Yes.
The second one, of course, you guys, Diana and the Honorable Frank Habineza have mentioned it in passing, and that's Uganda. Uganda is a major concern, but I like the fact that President Kagame has continued to say that he has not lost hope. And I think that's a very loud statement, that when it comes to diplomacy and expectations and your rhetoric, it is extremely important that you always say there is room for having discussions. I will take you to something that Honorable Frank talked about Burundi. At a time when we were at loggerheads with Burundi, the late Pierre Nkurunziza declared Rwanda a hostile nation. Never did Rwanda ever say that Burundi was a hostile nation. Fast forward, we are almost in bed. You know.
So to speak.
Yeah. So everyone looks forward to a situation where situations, our relationships with Uganda, they may not be normal, but
there's some improvement.
They can be better.
Yes. Yeah, much better, much better.
Yes. Inshallah.
Inshallah, exactly, God willing. I would really hope that these technical issues are solved. At this moment, I'd like to hear from Janine. If you could have Janine on our screens. I'm just hoping this time it's working. Janine, can you hear us?
I do hear you. Can you hear me?
We can hear you finally.
Oh, good.
Yes. Janine, just quickly over to you. Key highlights in terms of Rwanda's foreign policy, regional cooperation in 2021, and what expectations you have based on this moving forward in 2022.
I tend to agree with both Charles. I think I listened to him and Mr. Habineza on the different points he raised, but I really would like to insist on the big win and breakthrough that was in Mozambique and France. I don't think any of us could have anticipated that we would mend, or France would show the great willingness they showed to mend their relationship with us, and this is putting great impetus on our bilateral relationships. And also the win in Mozambique, our joint operation with the Mozambican forces was quite a major one, and one we will build on in other areas in terms of economic opportunities for both our countries, in fact.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Janine. And are there key expectations you have moving forward in 2022, based on the two key highlights you mentioned?
We can expect really strengthening the ties with DRC Congo because they're entering the East African Union, which will be quite a wonderful thing. I hope, and I hope you, I don't know if you mentioned it before, that the African Free Trade Continental Area will enter in full force after this pandemic. That will also be a great change in our landscape, not only the region, but the entire continent.
Absolutely. And I know a lot of AFCFTA, some headway that was made has been taken a couple of steps back based on the pandemic. And, we are looking forward to, it was really promising a couple of years back when we had that milestone in terms of the signatures and the countries coming together. That energy, I know it's not easy. I don't know if we can retain it or pick it up again during these pandemic times, but looking forward to the few headways that were made to really take root in 2022. Before we move to the next topic, I just want to know if there are any other aspects you'd like to add regarding regional cooperation and foreign policy for Rwanda.
Yeah.
Yes, over to you.
Yes, yeah. Thank you very much. I think, thanks to Charles and Janina as well. We had also other two important events that I would like to mention. That was the visiting of the Chadian new leader. As you know that the Chadian president died, but the one who succeeded him immediately after came to Rwanda. I think that was a very great sign of respect for Rwanda, that a new leader would think that he would get a support or relationship or new collaboration with Rwanda. And I'm not sure how much they discussed. I don't know the details, but the fact that they came to Rwanda and is an opening for greater collaboration within the Central African region. And then we know that one other neighbor, that is Ethiopia, is having very serious challenges. You know that the war which has been taking place in Tigray and so on. But we saw that the Ethiopian Prime Minister came over here, and of course even the former Prime Minister came before, a little bit before. So I think I'm not sure so much what they discussed, but I think the fact that when they had problems, they thought about coming to Rwanda to seek support. I'm sure there is some support that has been given, though maybe it's not public, but I think there's some way of assisting the Ethiopian people to resolve those issues, because some of my friends have been asking me, what can you do? And I think Rwanda has done something to help them resolve their issues. So that is, as you know, that Ethiopia has a seat of the African Union. So we are all very concerned of what is happening there.
Absolutely.
So we hope that there will be greater collaboration and more improvements. And I think, they're also constructing a big dam, the Renaissance Dam, and which will have a greater impact on the River Nile, which we are very, very concerned about. So I think that all that we are very concerned with what is happening in Ethiopia, and we're looking forward in 2022 for peaceful Ethiopia and good relations with Rwanda.
Charles, I just want to ask you something quickly. Based on just listening to Honorable, everything that he's been putting forward, what do you think about Rwanda's, one of its key, I don't know if it's a low-hanging fruit, but one of its strongest assets is its military professionalism. And what we've been seeing, especially in this year, is different countries, seeking Rwanda's support in this regard, especially when it comes to promoting security or advisory, based on, what we've been talking about. What are your expectations about this in 2022?
I think our biggest tool is not necessarily the military side, because, I mean, you may be very strong militarily, but what if the guns go silent? Then how do you remain sustainable? I think the biggest asset we should be selling is the Kigali International Finance Center. We have an amazing opportunity to have a global hub in Kigali. Now, a lot has been done on the soft side, and that's the creation of Rwanda Finance Company and the Kigali International Finance Center, and having all these different companies coming to be lodged in Rwanda under legislation thereof. There's a second phase that is that's going to come up in 2022, and that's around the groundbreaking of the physical infrastructure that's Africa's answer to the World Trade Center. It's really where the building will be housed, and economic might is political might. So we have an amazing opportunity to be able to say that all these efforts that the chairman of my party has put in place to set up all these collaborations with the Mozambiques and the Central African Republics and being in talking terms with Burundi again and Tanzania and what have you. And then we have these regional, continental, and global companies being actually housed and domiciled in Kigali. And I think that's going to be the major game changer. Not that one leaves the other, whereas we consolidate, and also whilst we are consolidating our peace, KIFC, in my opinion, is going to be the major game changer. Yes.
There's also the Kigali Innovation Center that was also unveiled last week. I think it's also going to be an emerging, well, not emerging trend, but a big project to look forward to starting 2022 and onwards. I'd just like to go back to Janine. I don't know if you want to add on something before we go to the next topic, just based on what Charles and Honorable Habineza have been saying so far.
I want to add a little small thing. I don't know if any of them did mention South Africa. We have also started the process to normalize the relationship with SA, and Minister Biruta was in South Africa, I think, recently in June, and this is an important partner, whether on the continental level, but also globally. Speaking with one voice with South Africa is very important. I also heard Charles' comments on the military not being the major tool and the Kigali Finance being the bigger one. I think it's a bit one and the same. You won't do anything without peace, I guess we all agree. But behind our military, we speak about the values, you know, how it's people-centered. We have seen images from Mozambique with our forces interacting with the local population that was first and terrorized for a long time. They're coming back. We should not short sell ourselves when it gets to our military. It's not the military as guns. It's the values. So that I wanted to add.
Thank you. Thank you, Janine. And I think I would also agree with you. I think, Charles, you kind of were alluding to that. I think definitely it's a blend. And for me, I look at the military professionalism in terms of, you know, when the guns go silent, we all hope for that. But the military is to ensure that the guns go silent in these countries. It's to ensure security, peace, and also promote various values, you know, as it's been doing.
Unfortunately, when they go silent, we prepare for war.
It's a terrible machine, this war industry. But I know for Rwanda, it's to ensure peace and security in countries that ask for support militarily, and we do our best.
Yeah, but we also have, of course, a serious engagement in Sudan, South Sudan.
Yes.
I think not only the military, but also the police force has been deployed and they have helped to bring peace in South Sudan.
Yes.
But also in Sudan, is Darfur, we have our Rwandan troops which are part of the UN.
The UN peacekeeping troops is also a major
so basically, our soldiers and our policemen, they are doing a very good job, and I think they are also bringing pride to Rwanda.
Yeah. So in a nutshell, you know, there's so much you can put into a 40-minute conversation regarding a review of 2021 regional cooperation. But I think, you know, what you've mentioned, Honorable Charles, looking at, you know, places, you know, projects and models such as the Kigali International Finance Center, the Kigali Innovation Center, really exciting things to look forward to. Without further ado,
on a lighter note, I was wondering why Dr. Frank Habineza did not come dressed in green. I think it's because he had intention of showering praise on whatever is happening.
I think you're wearing the green for him.
Thank you for bringing the green.
No, but it's always an honor to have you on the show.
But also white is part of my color.
Oh,
yes.
Thank you for letting me.
That's true. I'd like us to go to the next the next topic, which is to do with governance and leadership. And again, just key highlights in terms of governance and leadership in 2021. It's been a testing year in terms of really stretching the limits of what we can do. Our leaders have been doing for us in terms of leadership and governance, especially with regards to social welfare, looking at the vulnerable communities directly affected by the pandemic. And then also balancing the thin line between, reopening the economy vis-a-vis ensuring people are safe and healthy. So governance and leadership, I think it has been tested in Rwanda before, but I think during the pandemic, it's really been tested. So I would like to just kick off with key highlights, looking at different sectors, of course. Key highlights in terms of governance and leadership developments that occurred in 2021 that you think can be pushed forward into 2022. And I would like to start with Janine, just simply because of the technical issues we faced earlier on. Janine, over to you.
Thank you, Diana. I think all of us will agree that the number one achievement for this year was the COVID-19 response. It's quite impressive to see what we have done with little and limited resources. We have hit already the target of having 40% of our population vaccinated. That was the WHO target. Well, when you look at the efforts in these campaigns, in many ways, it reminds me of what was done with the Gachacha. We thought it was impossible, yet we are doing it. I think we're almost 100% vaccinated in the city of Kigali. So the COVID-19 response really was a major one. And then I want to mention another major breakthrough, and it's a governance and leadership one, but I would say continental leadership is the fact that we are going to manufacture vaccines and other medicines on our continent for the first time ever. That's, to me, a huge one. Which will create competence transfer, skills transfer, create jobs, and a whole opening of the African market that we have never tapped into. We consume, buy, use medicines, test, manufactured elsewhere. So that was quite the major breakthrough in terms of leadership.
Thank you, Janine. Yes, spot on, absolutely spot on that regarding the advances in vaccine manufacturing that we're going to be looking forward to in the coming years. Honorable Habineza?
Well, I would say, start on the sad note that 2021, I think the COVID pandemic brought more sadness to people because we had the lockdown. I think 2 times.
Lockdowns.
yeah, 2 times this year, and it brought a lot of sadness and slowed economic progress. And of course, a lot of people lost their businesses, their livelihood, and many people got unemployed, and many people got worried, or got stressed and depressed. I think we've had more cases of suicide, attempts for suicide happenings.
And mental health in general.
Mental health, yeah. So this COVID thing has brought a lot of problems. And I think also in the tourism sector, a lot of people got unemployed. Most of the hotels are still not yet, have not recovered yet. And even the tourism sector, which was our main biggest income earner, slowed really down because many tourists feared to come, which was, of course, logical. I would say that 2021 in COVID was a big challenge to us, though we appreciate that the government put up measures. There was this Economic Recovery Fund, which was launched to see that people can get back to life. But again, still, we wish that this Economic Recovery Fund could reach more and more people in the small businesses and the small and medium enterprises. We've, of course, mentioned this in the Parliament, both the Prime Minister and the Minister of Finance, but we still hope for more in 2022 that they reach more those small businesses, those who have been more affected here. But even still, there's medium hotels. Some of them have not really. I've talked to some of them, those who are not 3-star or those like 1-star or something, lodges and what. Motels and so on, they have not really benefited. Yeah, so they all need to see that it could be helped. We appreciate the vaccination drive in Rwanda, which as of December has reached 40%, as Janine has also mentioned. So we hope that will continue in 2022 and to help for people to get more confidence and also maybe our economy to recover. So more to that, I would mention that of course, economically, we are expecting a full, maybe completion of the Bugesera International Airport, our new international airport. I think this COVID thing has also delayed us, so we hope that maybe the next year there will be more progress on that. And with the taking over, a big part by Qatar Airways into this airport, we hope that we can, in 2022, can complete this airport, and then at least the phase 1 of the airport, so that we can start improving functioning. Then it will help in improving our economy. Another sad thing is the inflation rate. The inflation rate has risen. Of course, we have mentioned this in the Parliament with the Governor of the Bank of Rwanda and the Minister of Finance. I will mention that again, that there has been rising prices of commodities, especially food and oil, gas, and fuel, and everything else has increased. And we hope that this should be checked. And also the rising debt burden of Rwanda against the GDP is still high. And I think we've had this has gone higher. We've mentioned in the Parliament. The Minister has addressed it, but still everyone is still worried because we are still wondering if, as they say, reaching, I think, 47% to our GDP. 74%. Yeah, exactly. So then it means that we don't know what we are going to leave to our children and our grandchildren, because it means that we will not be able to pay.
We know what we'll leave them. We'll leave them debt.
We will leave them with a bigger debt that they also have to live with others. So we wish that government takes serious measures to combat this within our lifetime, not to leave it to our children. So, so I'm hoping for more steps in 2022 to see that that debt burden is being addressed. I also like to say that, talking about the cooking gas now, the cooking gas, we talked about it even in Parliament recently. I think when the Prime Minister was in Parliament, and the Prime Minister mentioned that they're going to raise the prices, which they did. But unfortunately, if you go to different stores in the town, you find the prices are still the same. Even though the Prime Minister has mentioned, the Rwanda Regulatory Authority has issued a directive, but the prices have not changed. So we want to ask the authorities to check this and also to revise. If there are any taxes or levies that are being put on this gas, they are to be removed. I request that any taxes, they should be removed completely. So at least 1 kilogram of gas should go at least to 800, at to 2019 levels at least. Yeah.
Not the ones that are
because now it's like 1,000 whatever. It is too expensive. It should go down, because if we want to protect the environment, we want to protect our forests, we need to reduce the prices of gas so that gas can be more affordable. And also the packaging. There should be smaller packages, bottles, so that people can easily...
I think that's something that's taken note of. I'd like to go to Charles very quickly. Governance, leadership, key highlights for you in 2021.
I think the question is really around COVID and what it has shown us from a governance and leadership perspective. COVID tests have had nothing to do with the swab you get through your nose or the irritating poke you get through your throat.
The real test is...
The real test is the economic test.
Exactly.
The COVID test is a governance test. The COVID test is an economic test. I think we hinted on this on the show last week around the bit of the guesswork, and you almost can't blame anyone for this. About a year ago, we were saying only adults of age under 18 and above should get vaccines. Today we are saying 12-year-olds can get vaccines. 6 months ago we were saying booster jabs are only for 50-year-olds and above. Today we are saying everyone above 18 years old should get a booster jab.
And it's 6 months, it's now 3 months.
Last week
post-vaccine
we were saying only those who got their second jabs 6 months prior should get the booster jab. Today we are saying 3 months. So there is a bit of or confusion really around management of COVID and COVID affairs. And you really almost can't blame anyone, because for crying out loud, we're looking at a fourth lockdown. We're staring at a fourth lockdown in the wake of the rising numbers of the Omicron variant. But I also want to say two things. I'll give an example of Tanzania and I'll give an example of Rwanda. And that is the importance of governments and the high-handedness of governments. So in Rwanda, the local government they've never been as important as they are today. You go to Murenje or Mudugudu person, that's the most important person you are with today, because they can easily hand you a 1 million franc fine depending on the circumstances. In Tanzania, they took a decision. The government led by John Pombe Magufuli, may his soul rest in peace, took up a decision to be laissez-faire about certain things. Did their economy survive? Yes. Did they lose lives? Yes. So I think it just comes in to show you the importance of public sector in managing the state of affairs.
I want to quickly go to our Twitter feed. You know, the little time that we have reviewing 2021. We have a tweet coming in. If we could please have that on our screens. And this tweet is from Honorable Amos Seramba. If we could have this on our screens, please. And in his tweet, he reads that regional cooperation has fostered transport facilities, provided commercial information, has pooled efforts in such areas as energy, water supply, security research and development, and knowledge generation has been so crucial for the success of development strategy. He's really spot on with his comments. I know we'll be having more tweets coming in to our viewers. I'd just like you to please put in your comments using hashtag the Square RW. I'd like to go to Janine. Unfortunately, we're coming to the end of the show based on the time that we have. And Janine, my question to you is really trends to look out for in 2022. You know, the future of travel has changed, and I think it's going to keep on changing. The future of work has been changing since last year. It's definitely still going to keep on changing. A few key trends that you expect will happen next year?
Just before I mention the trends, I wanted to add something to what Charles said. I don't think we are guessing in our strategies against the COVID-19. Actually, we are very flexible. So these mitigation tactics have to be flexible. The virus is a living being, and so are we. And it's quite interesting to see how quickly we react to it. So that was one point. I don't think there's guessing here. It's quite the opposite. It's quick, it's flexible response on day-to-day, week-to-week basis. And then on the trends, hopefully we will see more of intra-African tourism as well. Those who mentioned the fact that our tourism sector has been impacted, it is true. We have also seen a growth of local tourism, so that will be a trend I look forward to. And I look forward to the transformation of our landscape as health manufacturers, producing what we need and consuming what we produce. I don't know if you realize the size of the African market once this amount of money that goes out stays on the continent. It's quite a transformation happening really in front of our very eyes.
Thank you.
So COVID has been a major also opportunity.
Thank you very much, Janine. Absolutely. I think on the Square, we've said a couple of times, COVID-19 has come with its silver lining. I can tell you're excited about it. I think a lot of people are. The vaccine manufacturing opportunities, a lot of countries in the African continent even import expired goods, you know, whether it's the whole value chain of vaccines, the kits, the refrigeration storages and the medicines themselves and that sort of thing, to try and be in the driver's seat for this very important aspect is really is very significant. Thank you so much, Janine. Very short closing remarks. Some key trends, one or two key trends you expect to see in 2022.
Thank you very much. First, the government should do more sensibilization campaign about the vaccines, because people are still confused about the vaccines. There's still fear. People are still scared of getting vaccinated. Some are mentioning religious reasons. So, as Charles has just mentioned, there's still this confusion. So, there's need more sensitization. Government needs to tell people that the vaccines are safe and show them examples of what has been done elsewhere, so that this fear stops, because people are still getting scared of getting vaccinated. Two, the issue of the COVID test, you mentioned the COVID is a test, but also the price we pay for the rapid test. or the PCR test, I think, should be reduced. We thank the state that they reduced the PCR test from 50,000 to 30,000. My request that it should go to 10,000. And the rapid test, which is now at 5,000 francs, my request that should go to 1,000. Why am I requesting this? That if they reduce this, the cost of this, the real tests that we are taking, it will make life more easier for people to get tested and also go on with business or with life. But if you think every time you have to go to a swimming pool and you have to pay 5,000, you have to go to a gym, you have to pay 5,000, you have to go to a wedding, I mean, it makes life more and more complicated. But if it goes lower, then I think this maybe the recovery fund or whatever fund can be used to subsidize these costs so that we can get back to normal. And lastly, the Momo charges, the bank transfer charges and mobile money transfer charges, they're still high. I think if we are saying that we need to go to a cashless economy so that we can avoid touching money, so that we avoid spreading the virus, and then these charges are still expensive. The people who are using the mobile money, whatever, Momo pays, they say they're being charged. We also getting charged. And the bank transfer charges are still expensive. So this should be really reduced more and more so that life can become more accessible and more affordable.
Thank you.
To add on the security to be contained, to be maintained. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Janine, it's been an honor to have you. Thank you very much. I don't know if she's still with us. If you could have on the screens just to say good night.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Janine. Honorable Habineza, I hope it's not your last time. I know it's not your first. It's been a pleasure having you.
Thank you so much. I look forward to coming more, and I wish you a happy New Year.
Thank
and
you.
to all of you, the listeners and of the Square.
To you too, Honorable.
Thank you. Thank you, Honorable. Charlie, always a pleasure hosting with you.
I had an amazing punchline that I'll keep to myself in the interest of time.
In the interest of time. Please keep it in store for next week. To our loyal viewers, thank you so much for tuning in. To our partners, Uzi Collections and Bourbon Coffee, thank you for supporting the Square over these last couple of years. I'm wishing you, on behalf of the team right here, a very, very prosperous, happy 2022. Have a good night. See you again next week.